Hey guys, thanks for hopping on. I'm gonna give it another 2 minutes just to account for people working through maybe some technology issues, but we'll get going at two past the hour, so we don't keep you too terribly long. So just hang tight, and we'll start up in a second.
Hi, Robin.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good.
I just figured while we're waiting, I already introduced myself to Belinda. I'm Carmen.
All right, so I have 7:02. So let's go ahead and get started. So thank you guys so much for hopping on to our career night for White Rock Realty. My name is Brad Anderson. I am the broker and owner of White Rock Realty. And a couple of housekeeping notes before we kind of get into the meat of what we'll talk about tonight is, as promised, once we drop off, I will send you um, two resources that I think that, especially if you're a first-time realtor, and candidly, even if you're not, you're going to find helpful. So, White Rock Realty, I have two companies, White Rock Realty and White Rock Coaching Services. And so if you can't tell by that, we're very heavy into education and training and coaching. And so I wrote a book for a brand new realtor called 90 Day Jumpstart for a New Realtor. And it will help you kind of lay the foundation for getting your business off to the right start. Secondly, is something even more valuable that you'll really, I think, find useful, especially as you get deeper into your real estate career. It's how to follow up with people. And I think that's critical in any sales role. And this is a sales position, really. And so, we're not going to close on a transaction or to get a client to hire us on the first try. So it's all about being the last person standing, and that this resource helps you do that. So, um, so I'm going to leave my information up here real quick. You can either take a picture of it. I'm going to email this out to you guys along with the meeting recording, um, uh, and along with those two resources. But while I have that paused, I kind of like to always start out with something funny. And so I have here some awesome real estate humor that I figured I'd try out on you guys. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, I'll know to scratch the jokes for next time. So y'all ready? Y'all ready to be entertained? All right. So the first joke goes like this. If you ever feel like no one cares, miss a mortgage payment. All right, that's joke number one. Joke number two, a real estate agent sold me a two-story house. One story before I bought it, and another story after I bought it. That's an oldie but a goodie. Um, I had a realtor come into my office the other day and say, hey boss, I really need a raise in my commission split. I got three companies after me. I need you to do this for me. And I said, well, what companies do you have after you? And he said, well, the electric company, the gas company, the phone company. Um, and then similarly to that, a neighbor of mine came up to me and last week and said, "Hey, I'm looking to put my home on the market. I know you've lived here a while. You're a realtor. Um, you know, would you consider listing my home?" And I kind of gave him a weird look, and he said, "Well, what's that about?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if anyone's told you like around the neighborhood, but we all think your house is haunted." And he says, well, I don't know what that's about. I've lived here for 425 years and I've never noticed a thing. So, all right. So lastly, what is a real estate agent's favorite holiday song? Feliz Navidad. There you go. So there you go. They're either good, they're bad. You're more than welcome to use some of them if you want to be embarrassed in front of your friends, go for it. But but hey, so let's start about what we want to talk about tonight. I won't take the full hour most likely, but you're all muted if you want to chime in and ask questions. Go for it. But here is the agenda. So we're going to talk a little bit about history of White Rock Realty. We're going to go over some current real estate trends, steps to getting licensed, some common concerns amongst new realtors, and a tour of White Rock Realty. So I'm going to show you some websites and some resources that we have, so that you kind of know a little bit about us. And we don't have to save the Q&A until the end. If you all have questions during the presentation, feel free to chime in. So a little bit about me. My career prior to real estate was in the hospitality industry. And so a lot of what we do at White Rock Realty is centered around customer service. And that is to say that we are very relational versus transactional. We all know that realtor, right? That is kind of a pushy, kind of aggressive salesperson. And, those folks tend to really be more about just churning over transactions. And the downside to that approach is that you tend to not get a whole lot of repeat business. And so, we plug into the fact that it's all about building relationships. And that comes directly from my experience in the hotel business. Started investing in real estate in the late 90s, and that's kind of what got me interested in real estate. And I realized that I could get into more homes quicker if I just got my license. And so I've been licensed as a realtor since 2011. I've been a broker since January of 2018. So going on about 8 years now as a broker. I bought a Remax franchise in 2016 and built out an office and opened that office in January of 2017. So I know the good, the bad, the ugly about the big box brands. I started at Keller Williams when I was a realtor in 2011. And so let me ask you a rhetorical question. If Carmen, you and I got together and we hit it off and you had some cash and I had some cash and Carmen and I decide to go into business together and we go buy a Dunkin' Donuts franchise because we all love Dunkin' Donuts, right? Wouldn't you expect Dunkin' Donuts to provide you with their proprietary coffee and donuts? Yes, right. Otherwise, you wouldn't be successful as a franchise. Well, Remax kind of fell short on that, and I found that everything that I was providing for my realtors were things that I created. So all the training, all the coaching, all the business processes, how to work with expired listings, how to do an open house correctly, all that stuff. And so now there were no hard feelings when my agreement ended. I did not renew it, and I started my own real estate brokerage right around pandemic. Great time to start a business, right? But I knew that I was sunsetting the Remax thing. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to take all the good and all the bad from my experiences in real estate, and I'm going to create what I think is missing in the real estate industry. Okay. And so I did that. Now, I am also an instructor at Champion School of Real Estate, primarily nights and weekends because obviously my full-time job is this. And so if you are still enrolled in school and it's at Champions, you might see me if you're in Plano or Fort Worth, Texas. But all that to say that, I mean, everything I do is around education. I am a full-time broker. So if you are interviewing other brokerages, I would ask them that, especially if you're interviewing smaller independent brokerages. Usually, the smaller the brokerage, the more likely it is that the broker has to still represent clients. And I don't do that. So I just thought, especially as I grew in size, that my time was better served in helping realtors grow their business. And so you will never hear from me, hey, I can't take your call right now. I have to go put a sign in the yard. And so I'm available nights, weekends, holidays. I usually tell people just don't call me during a Cowboys game because you'll get a whole different version of my personality. I can't guarantee I'll be sober. Just full transparency, and that's usually after the game ends and they've lost horribly, but more on that later. So, in all seriousness, I am not going to pass you off to somebody. I want you to hear the right answer from the broker, and so that's why I'm available to answer questions any time of day. Um, our overall culture is, I mean, we're pretty laid back, right? It is not a high pressure sales environment. Each realtor I find is kind of doing this for a variety of reasons. And so who am I to tell you that you have to do it a certain way, or, you're not going to last very long if you're not selling, X amount of transactions a month. I just don't do it that way. I think we're all in this for the long game, and it's all about relationships. And it's very easy to succeed here. Um, I am also a certified Trek CE provider. So this will mean more to you once you're past your first 2 years, because I don't teach Legal 1 or 2, I teach elective classes. But once a month, I will take one of our office meetings, which is every Thursday at 1 over Zoom. And I will do a free 4 credit 1 hour CE class on something. So just FYI. Um, so again, our primary focus is constant learning. And I think that like anything, I mean, think back to any job that you started that you knew nothing about. Your confidence was at a zero, right? And so, but as time went on and you learned more, your confidence grew. And that led to small wins over time. Well, I think that same thing holds true for real estate. So the more you know, the more confident you're going to be, and the more closings that's going to lead to. So if you are someone that wants to be better at this, a month from now, a year from now, we are a very good option for that. All right. So real estate in general. So lots of ups and downs in the past 4 or 5 years. Let's talk about what's happening right now. Current days on market. So how long is it taking for a home to go from listing to it's under contract? So right now it's about 65 days, a little over 2 months. Um, 2020, 2021, it was like 6 minutes, let alone, 60 days. And that is up a little bit from prior years, but still pretty good. Number of homes for sale, right about 26,000. That's up 31%. This is all just to say that there is inventory out there. And so what is causing people to move, either buy or sell a home, is going to be one of a dozen or so life events, right? New job, new marriage, new family, whatever that might be. And so those customers still exist. Average price is about 454, and that really hasn't changed a whole lot. Between 2020 and 2022, we were seeing 10, 15, 20% increases a month. And so what does this mean for new realtors? This means that stability is good in real estate, right? Just as it is in the stock market. So people tend to wait if there is instability. So when there's price stability, that bodes well for us. So great time to get into real estate. Closings about 5,200. That was for last month. That's down about 5%. That's not a whole lot given, interest rates. And so that being said, we're at, let's call it 6.8%. Keep in mind that anybody, if they have cash, can buy down an interest rate. So if they are, just a fun fact, um, if you hear clients saying, I'm waiting for the interest rates to drop before I buy a home, in 1971, the interest rates were about what they are today, right around the 7% mark. It was another 22 years before they dropped a point. So with any degree of significance, that's 22 years that people rented, didn't make memories in a home, didn't buy a home that appreciated in value. And so this notion of I need to wait, it's wait for what? I mean, the way mortgages are, if you have cash, you can buy down the interest rate to 5, 4, 3%. So, I mean, I think 6.8% is still pretty good. Current number of realtors in Texas, 150,000, give or take. Um, that is about 30,000 more than were in 2019. Now, remember, 2019 started the trajectory of a hot housing market, and a lot of people jumped in, and it was easy to succeed. And now it's not as easy, right? We have to kind of go back to the basics of the sales process and how to close a deal and how to actually, negotiate. And so I will say this, that when a new realtor starts out in their business, and we start talking about things like you got to talk to people, you got to manage your sphere of influence, they usually say, well, I'm not really going to be successful. Everyone knows two or three realtors, right? Which is a fact. But when was the last time you recommended somebody to somebody else? Be it an HVAC repair person, an electrician, heck, a hairdresser. You're only recommending those people because you're sure that they're going to do a good job. And so my point is that yes, everyone knows three or four or more realtors, but they're usually only recommending one, right? Because those are the folks that they know that they can rely on. And so why not be that one, right? So in the state of Texas, now I am across several states, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Texas. Most of my folks are here in Texas. And so to become licensed in Texas, you got to be a U.S. citizen, got to be 18 years of age or older, $205 application fee. You got to take 6 qualifying education courses, 30 hours each, 180 hours total. Fingerprint slash background check, take the exam, and then you get a real estate license, right? And then what does that lead to? Unlimited earning potential. So the reason why I love real estate so much is because it's very much like lending and insurance in that someone tells me that all you have to do is read a bunch of content and take a test on it, and I have the ability to make as much money as I possibly can. I mean, sign me up, right? And so now there's a lot of work in between those steps, right? However, I think not a lot of occupations offer that, right? And so, all things considered, it's a very low barrier to entry, but the potential to make a lot of money is definitely there. So what are some of these benefits of being a realtor? Well, you got flexibility, right? Now it's easy to, because we're all kind of independent contractors, to work ourselves silly, but at the end of the day, you do have flexibility. Your day is your own, and you can manage it however you want. You have an unlimited income potential, right? And I always like to say that real estate is a get rich business. It's just not necessarily a get rich quick business. It takes time, especially if you are in a dual career situation where, people might not necessarily see you as a realtor yet. But if you do the right things and you get ramped up quick enough, it doesn't usually take a lot of time to get closings. Um, the other benefit is that you're helping people find the one thing that's going to mean most to them and their loved ones. And so, I always used to like to say about the hotel business is that it's the best job in the world because you're getting paid to be nice to people. Well, the same thing goes for real estate. I mean, you're getting paid to find a place where people are going to feel safe and secure, lay their head down at night, and make memories with their family. I mean, there is no greater service to mankind, in my opinion, than that, right? And so, because of that, people seek out wise counsel, and that's us, right? You can sell anywhere in Texas. Now, Trek is a little sensitive about having geographic competency, which means that you need to, you know the area, but theoretically, you can sell anywhere in this great state of Texas, or if you are from New Mexico or Oklahoma, those states as well. Um, Real estate license really allows you to sell any aspect of real estate, right? With broker approval. So you could do residential, farm and ranch, commercial leases, just land, you know. Um, so it does start to get the wheels turning about, hey, what other streams of revenue can I create with this license? So okay, you passed your exam. Let's talk about what your day is going to look like. And quite simply put, because this is a sales job, your focus is going to be prospecting, presenting, and following up, right? Finding new business, presenting to those folks, and following up over time so that they hire you and they get what they want. All right. So, if there is one thing that I would impress upon you as a new realtor is that if you can find a niche to work in, you get further faster. And so, what do I mean by that? Well, if you are a veteran or have a heart for veterans, or if you were in the healthcare industry and you want to work with doctors and nurses or first-time home buyers, and you just focus in on that and get really good at that, you will quickly be known as the expert in that area. All right. Now, the downside is that if you work with first-time home buyers, as an example, and a retired couple comes to you and wants you to help them transition into senior housing, maybe that's not your wheelhouse. You may have to turn those folks down, but it frees up your time to focus more on what you're actually good at. So your progression in this business will center probably around just getting settled, finding out who you want to work with. You're going to work your systems, your lead sources, and follow up typically in the afternoon. So morning is typically designed for prospecting. Afternoon is going to be for follow up and just working the clients that you have. You're going to want to bake in there some self-care and some education because, again, we're all independent contractors, and there's a tendency, if you have a home office, to want to work, right? And so you need to incorporate some balance and education in every day of your job. All right, and then don't be that secret agent. You got to talk to people, right? So I've even done classes on prospecting for the introvert, right? Because a realtor comes in all shapes and sizes, all personality types, and you do not have to be outgoing, hit you over the head, you got to buy from me type of realtor to be successful. And as a matter of fact, that's the stereotype of all of us. And if you approach a client with, how can I help you? You're going to get further faster, right? So if you consider yourself an introvert, it's actually an asset. All right. And then there's a little bit of luck in this business. It's all about being in the right place at the right time. You just have to increase your chances of being in the right place at the right time. All right. So go where the customers are. So since this is career night and you may be entertaining us as a brokerage, uh, what I typically ask a realtor when they're interviewing with me one-on-one is, what would be a good fit for you? Do you know what you're looking for in a brokerage? And a lot of people just simply do not know. So I'm going to go through some common concerns amongst new realtors. And so some of these you may have thought about, some of them maybe not. But the most common one is, who's going to mentor me? What about my first three transactions? So Trek requires somebody to mentor you in the first three transactions. All right. So that would be me. And my response to that is always, whether it's your first three or your first 33, this is what I consider my job as your broker to be. Right. Because I mean, aside from the fact that if you don't make money, I don't make money. I mean, that aside, if you don't succeed, I don't succeed. And so why did you go to the trouble of getting your license if someone in a brokerage is not going to hold your hand and spoon feed you and mentor you until you can get up and running and fly solo, right? So I don't want there to be any confusion that that is me, okay? What about training? We're going to go through that. Who will help me build my business? Where do I go to ask questions? How responsive is my broker? And what are the costs? All right, so I'm going to go through all that. And so a little bit about White Rock Realty. So if you've not interviewed brokerages before, let me just kind of tell you my perspective of what kinds of brokerages you're going to encounter out there. In my mind, there's three of them. One is, as I mentioned before, the Remaxes, the Century 21s, the big brand names. So that's one bucket. Now, those folks tend to be a little bit more on the expensive side. There's a lot of agents there. So you're kind of left wondering, who do I go to when I get stuck? I mean, the reason why I did what I did is because when I was at Keller, my first contract came in at 5 o'clock on a Friday night, and I couldn't find anybody to help me. And so I never wanted that to be the case for my brokerage. And so now, mind you, those brokerages are great for some people. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of camaraderie. I got to a point where I could care less about the mixers at night with my other realtors because I wanted to close more transactions, and so that kind of wore thin real quick. But it's appropriate for some agents, right? So then you have on the other side of the spectrum, the opposite, which is, transaction fee brokerages, discount brokerages. There tend to be a lot of agents there too because they tend to not charge anything. But you don't get a lot in return either, right? And so then the third kind is a hybrid, which is what we do. So we offer everything that a full service brokerage would offer, but at a very low cost. All right. And I'll explain why that is. Well, the main reason is because we're a virtual brokerage. So what does that mean? All that means is that we don't have a physical brick and mortar office to go into. And so before you hit the panic button, let me tell you my experience. Um, as I mentioned, I had a Remax office, and it was before, during, and after COVID. And Remax mandated that you have a physical location for people to go into. Got an office, spent lots of money building it out, great location. And in those 5 years of my franchise agreement, not many people came in. And I've got this office with all this training space, and so agents wouldn't come in, clients wouldn't come in, and the reality of that was it wasn't anything I was doing. It was because that's just not how real estate works. And so your buyer clients, they have to go get a loan, right? I will bet you they will never see their lender face to face. And so I would go weeks on end, and be the only person in that office. And so I don't know about y'all, but I didn't want to spend 6 grand a month in rent anymore. And so I realized that there were other brokerages out there that were more successful, bigger, and were doing it this way. And so I thought that there must have been something to that. Then COVID hit, and I really had to figure that out. And so I took everything to an online environment. My meeting attendance went up because people could attend from their home because I was doing them on Zoom, and I would record them and then send them out. And people that couldn't make it would look at the recordings. And so the energy and the synergy amongst the realtors and myself grew to a level that I never got to by having a brick and mortar. Now, you will realize that when you're dealing with clients that even if I had a physical office, the cities in Texas are so big, you're not going to come to an office if it's more than 15 minutes away just for the sake of taking a client to an office, right? So you're going to have to figure out, well, what does that look like? Well, in my opinion, if someone really wanted to meet you, now a listing appointment, that's going to be in the person's house, right? But a buyer, you can go to a hotel lobby, you can go to a break room of a shared office space, you could go to a lender's conference room, a title company's conference room, and they're going to let you do that because they want your business, right? So there are solutions to this. Um, uh, so I just didn't want you to take that as a negative. Most brokerages are going this way. So, and you'll kind of get to see firsthand how that looks in terms of the training in a second. We are relational and not transactional. So I mentioned that earlier. And we are in 3 states. And our overall culture is education, 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 right? The more you know, the more confident you are, and that's going to lead to more closings. We do accept dual career agents. We accept part-time agents. I'm the guy that's going to give everybody a shot. I think that there are a ton of people that sign up for those real estate courses that don't make it, right? And there's even another subset that get through them but don't pass the test. And so you didn't come this far just to come this far. And so if you went to the trouble of paying for and getting your real estate license, I'm going to give you a chance to succeed if you want it. All right. We allow all types of transactions with the exception of two. And this was the result of lawsuits. So forgive me if you want to do property management or wholesaling, but it's funny what a lawsuit will do to your business practices. But um, if you want to engage in property management of your own property that you own, that's fine. But I just can't allow you to do it for other clients. All right, too risky. There's too much accounting that needs to happen, and that's where Trek gets most of their complaints as well. All right, and then wholesaling. I just don't like that business model. I don't know a whole lot about it, but there are a million other ways to use your license that can get you a big fat commission check. So don't let that deter you. And so I will be your personal coach and mentor. So all of the training and development will go through myself, all right? And that is on purpose. A lot of brokers will, the minute that you join, will assign you to somebody. And I guarantee that the minute that you need that person, they won't be available, especially if they're another agent and they have to maintain a business level as well because their paycheck is going to take precedence over yours. So I've tried it the other way and it really didn't work. And so that's why I assume that responsibility and you're going to be grateful, right? You're going to hear the right answers. And so lastly, we do offer free ongoing business coaching. So if you're brand new and you haven't quite gotten settled in yet, this may come a little bit later, but I just wanted to mention it at this point. Um, so a lot of brokerages will offer coaching, but it's not real substantive and it costs money, right? And so there are 3 ways to get our coaching. One is you could set up an appointment with me one-on-one. And so let's say that we agree that every Tuesday at 3 o'clock works best for us. We get together during that time, and it's just the two of us. We work through what's working well in your business, what's not working well. We brainstorm about, how to get business specifically for you. And we meet with regularity to make sure that you're staying on track. So that's one way. The other way is that if you are a dual career person and you want more flexibility, we have an online version that is completely self-guided, but it is very robust. It's got homework, it's got videos. The only downside is that there is no accountability. It is completely self-guided, right? But if that's all you have time for, it's there for you. And then the third way is that several times a year, I will do group coaching sessions. And they are 8 weeks long for a couple of hours each, once a week. And the benefit there is that you are in an environment with your other realtors. So I've invited other realtors outside the brokerage. I haven't had anybody take me up on it yet, but I get a pretty decent attendance, and it's pretty neat to hear what's working well, what's not working well with your peers. And everyone here is very open and eager to share what has made them successful. And so there is no backstabbing here whatsoever. And so this group coaching is a great environment to kind of get a front row seat to that. All right. So in the eyes of the IRS, let's talk about a fun subject. Let's face it, you are going to be a 1099 contract employee. And so what does that mean? Well, it means that the broker cannot mandate anything in the state of Texas. Now, in the state of New Mexico, only thing we can mandate is a meeting that you attend if it means the content is about a contract change. That if you didn't attend, we'd all be in big trouble. Texas doesn't have that. So I can't mandate meetings. I can't mandate hours. So it's kind of this weird relationship where you are all on your own in your own individual businesses as what I would call a solopreneur, but every realtor relies on their broker to help them be successful, right? And so all boxes there are checked for us. I get it. Even though you're a contract employee, I do my darndest to make sure that you're as successful as you can be. And so with that, you as a realtor, you're going to pay your own taxes. You can write all those off, by the way. Get a hold of a good CPA, and if you itemize your deductions, you can write all that off. You will sign a broker agent independent contractor agreement that will likely have a clause that says it's an at-will arrangement, which means, and that holds true for us, which means that if you wake up one morning and you decide that you don't like me anymore, you can just leave and go someplace else. All right. And I make it as easy as possible. I don't keep listings. I don't keep clients. I don't keep your database. I wouldn't know what to do with them if I kept them. So, your clients are your own. They're your own relationships. So just FYI, that's how that works. Now, a broker, I don't, but a broker can require, that should have been full-time status, but they can't dictate set hours. So I don't really know what that means in the eyes of the IRS, but I guess a broker can say, well, I don't take part-time agents. You have to be full-time, but I really don't know what that means because I can't tell you to work a certain set of hours, right? So if you talk to other brokerages that talk about that, that's kind of what that's about. All right. So who is White Rock Realty a good fit for? Agents that want flexibility in getting trained and supported. So here's what typically happens with especially a brokerage that has a brick and mortar office. And think about, you just got done with all this schooling that was a beatdown. You just passed your test. Oh my gosh, the world is my oyster now. I just want to get going. Well, a lot of brokerages will say, nope, nope. You got to come back into a classroom and take this 10-week course for 8 hours a day and hear us lecture you about how to be a realtor. All right. And so we don't do it that way. I'll show you what the training looks like in a second. But so that really speaks to our flexibility. So remember, if we're virtual, I had to figure out how to transfer everything that you would experience in person to an online environment, right? Which is, again, supported by me as the broker. We are a good fit for someone that wants low cost, but a high level of service. All right. If you interview other brokerages that charge a ton of money, you're probably going to sit there and wonder, well, how am I going to know when my first closing is coming? I see a lot of money going out, but I don't see any money coming in. And that's why we don't charge a whole lot of money. We are a good fit for someone that wants instant access to the broker. We are a good fit for someone that values education and someone who wants to improve uh, in their real estate career and their level of expertise as time goes on. That might seem like a no-brainer, but I can't tell you how many people I talk to that they may not come right out and say that, but they're just kind of in this for the quick buck. Um, and so that's kind of who we're a good fit for. Someone that wants premier training. What frightens me is that I know that nearly every brokerage out there raises their hand and says, "Oh, I'll take you if you're brand new." Yeah, we love new agents. And then once you get on board, they really don't have anything for you. And so they don't think, okay, well, what was I doing when I first started on day one? I don't even know how to open up a lockbox, right? And so we cover all that, right? And so if you want access to that kind of training, uh, we're a good fit. Someone that wants ongoing coaching so you can continue to build your business. And then someone that wants access to on-demand systems and tools so that you can grow, all for free, by the way, all for free. The reason they're free, by the way, is because I've been doing this for a good long time and I already paid the money to people that want to tell me how to do an open house correctly or how to work with expired listings. And so I took all that content that I paid for once and I tweaked it based on my own experience and give it to everybody for free, right? Um, so who are we not a good fit for? And let's just be transparent. We are not a good fit for someone that just gets their license. They learn the basics just to pass the exam, but they just want a quick transaction. They want to take shortcuts on the training and they don't want to do anything, in logical order. So I am an educator at my core. And so because of that, all of the training and onboarding is done in a certain order so that you don't feel overwhelmed and each thing builds on the thing that you learned before so that it doesn't feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. Well, I can't tell you how many people join and I don't hear from them for 6 months. And I give them all the training to do and all the onboarding, and here's everything you need to do to be successful. And about 6 months in, I'll get a frantic phone call saying that, oh, they have a client that they want me to, they want to hire me to go help them go buy a home. And so I start down the road of, okay, well, did you set up your contracts? Did you do the onboarding checklist? Did you do the training? No, I didn't do any of that. Do you even have an account for the contract software? I don't know. I think I signed on for some. So it's like you got to meet me halfway, right? So another thing that I didn't write down here that in the spirit of what do agents look for, some agents ask me what my expectation is of them. And I don't have many, but the one is that don't be that agent that I just described. And I have what I would describe as a buffet of resources. And it literally is a buffet. I have everything that you'd ever need to be successful. You can take what you want, you can leave what you don't want, just like that brunch on Mother's Day at the local Marriott, right? But you can't not do the minimum because it's not fair to the client. Forget me, it's not fair to the client because they're hiring you as the expert. So if you want to take shortcuts on that, we're not going to be a good fit for you. If you do not value education, if you're just out there winging it, if your focus is transactions and not relationships, if you don't value the professionals that a realtor is, right? So if you think of us as the stereotypical kind of pushy salesperson, that's not our culture. That is some other brokerage's culture. It's not us, right? There are better things to chase after than the almighty dollar when it comes to a transaction because everybody's different, right? Um, if you want business handed to you, all right, so I'm going to give you my 30-second opinion on how to get leads. So, how I know an interview is not going well when I'm doing a one-on-one is if they keep asking me about whether or not I'm going to provide leads for you. So the training that I have trains you to get your own leads. And why is that valuable? Well, if you leave me, if you do wake up one day and decide that we're not a good fit, at least you know how to survive, right? What's that expression? Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man how to fish, he eats for a lifetime. That's kind of what the spirit of that is. And all this talk about buying leads and Zillow leads and all that, anybody can sit behind a keyboard and look for $1 million house that they'll never qualify for. Now, Zillow is none too happy to bundle those up and sell them to you for $8,000 a month. They never lead anywhere. The best quality lead that you can get is from someone that already knows, likes, and trusts you. All right. So now, because I have agents across 3 states, it is highly likely that wherever you live, someone in White Rock does not, and they need to refer a piece of business to you. That happens pretty frequently, right? And so those just kind of get distributed based on who lives closest to where the person's looking, right? So if you're in Austin and the person's looking in Round Rock and you live in downtown Austin, you probably ain't going to get that lead because that's not fair to the client. But I hear from agents, I'm busy, I got another job, I just need, internet leads. All right. And so we just don't do it that way. So um this is our mission, vision, value, and beliefs. So our mission is to offer a cost-effective alternative to being a realtor, while still providing the opportunity for a customized plan to be successful as an entrepreneur and a marketer. Right? Our vision, we aspire to be a brokerage full of successful business owners that leverage the power of relationships while providing a high level of customer service. We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. And if any of you have a background in hospitality, that's a Ritz-Carlton tagline, but it is very applicable here, right, to real estate. You want to be that realtor. Our values, we are entrepreneurial, collaborative. We're not going to hide information from you. Everybody shares. We solve problems, right? And if you are a brand new realtor, don't let that deter you. If your only asset is that you can solve people's problems, you're going to be successful right out of the gate. We are responsive. I've never worked in an industry where realtors try so hard to get their phone to ring, then they never answer it. So that's not us here, right? We impress upon each other that, unless it says spam, answer the call. You're going to get calls from people that you don't know. That is a good thing, right? But you gotta answer your phone. We value technology and flexibility, but I'm going to tell you that, and I'll go through a little bit of our technology, but the technology that you're already going to pay for with the state association and NAR and your local board, it's going to be plenty to get you through and be successful. All right. We believe in working smart, not hard. We believe in having a strategic marketing plan, and we believe in knowledge is power. All right. And so our core beliefs are cost shouldn't prevent you from being successful. Technology and broker access enable your success. Right. And so there is an app for every piece of technology that you're going to need to be successful. And if you're out there and you need a question answered by your broker, I've already told you that I've committed that that's going to happen. All right. And so if you have the will and ambition to succeed, we have the tools and support, and relationships are going to be the ultimate key to your success. Okay. So a couple of other things that I will show you is, let's say that you decide to join. You're going to need some direction, right? And so the first thing that I usually give people is this onboarding checklist. So everything that I do, and I have a YouTube channel, by the way, that I strongly, strongly suggest you subscribe to. Just look for my name, Brad or Bradley Anderson. I can't remember what it's under. But I have done videos on how to fill out the contracts, how to be a good salesperson. And they are, of course, free to the public. I'm going to follow up with all of you with an email, of course, sending you all these assets that I mentioned earlier. In that email and my signature will be the link to the YouTube channel. Even if you decide not to join us, uh, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll be glad that you did. So I do a video for everything, just because of the flexibility of the culture. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to pass your exam. You're going to sign up with a brokerage. Hopefully it'll be us. And you're going to have a bunch of stuff that you're going to have to go do to get settled in. It's kind of like that first day on any job. It's like, hey, where are the bathrooms? Where's the coffee maker type of deal? That's what this list is. All right. So it is going to be things like ordering your business cards, setting up all of your contracts. And this really just because when you go to the local board and sign up for the MLS and all that, they are going to give you usernames and passwords to systems that aren't going to make a lick of sense to you yet. But when you get that first client, and even before that, when you start our training, you're going to need access to all that. So if nothing else, this is just your first step in getting organized, so that you know where to go, right? And because it can be extremely overwhelming, and I could count on, well, let me just say it this way, probably 2 out of 10 brokers will spoon feed this to you like we do. And I tell you why they do it, because no one taught them. And so they feel bitter. Well, no one told me how to open up a lockbox. You just need to figure it out on your own. Well, that can be devastating if your client's standing behind you and you don't know how to open up a lockbox, right? So we do this for you. So this is your first step in getting organized. So once you do this, you would go on to the training, which is here. So again, typical format for other brokerages is to bring you into a classroom and to tell you how to be a realtor. Well, wouldn't it be better just to kind of start and jump in and just figure this out on your own? And so that's what most people want. So I have written a 4-week training program, and at the bottom of the document, you have everything outlined in terms of what you're going to do, a video that explains what you're going to do, why you're doing it, what you're supposed to learn from it. But there's something new each week. And I've broken it out into 3 different categories. The first is educational. So there is a manual that goes along with this training, and I have you do some other kind of information gathering stuff. But that's kind of where it stops. Then you move on to the operational portion, where, as you can see, I have you out there doing everything that you're going to have to do with a client. You're going to visit open houses. You're going to practice writing the contracts. You're going to open up lock boxes, right? And when you get access to all the tools that you need to do all this, it won't seem as daunting. Most people say, well, wait, isn't someone going to show me how to do this? That's what all this is for, and the videos. Okay, I promise you, if you had what it took to pass the exam, you do not need someone to stand by you while you open up a lockbox. Trust me on this. Okay, so this is your chance to make a bunch of mistakes and ask a bunch of questions, because you're not going to have a client just yet while you do this. So this is your low risk approach to inching closer into knowing what you need to know once you do get a client. Now, the last part is probably the most important. It's, how am I going to get business in real estate? All right. So again, something different every week. And some of this isn't going to work for you just because this might not be your personality type. Now, mind you, listen, I am not a good cold caller. I am not going to be the guy that says, well, you want to be successful in real estate, open up your phone contacts and just start calling people. That's a quick way to disappointment. Right? So all of my training is centered around a much softer approach. But there's a lot of different ways to get business, and 1 or 2 will work best for you. But I expose you to as much as I can during these 4 weeks. So how do I know that this is all making sense? Well, at the end of each week, we will get together one-on-one, and we'll go through what you learned that week. And that's your chance to ask questions, and just make sure that it's all sinking in. before you move on to the next week. Now, I know it says it's 4 weeks long. You can take longer to do it. You can get it done in 2 weeks if you want. All right. But week two is when you write the contracts based on these little scenarios that I give you. And, you're going to want to take your time doing that. Okay. So, this is the second part of the training. So, as you can imagine, if you've gone through the onboarding checklist and the training, you're that much closer to, having that confidence level uh, increase on you. Well, the other set of resources comes on our website, and you would get access to this once you joined. And this is Command Central for everything that you need to be successful with us and be successful as a realtor. So under onboarding resources, these are going to be things like, where do I get my business cards? Do you have a lender I can recommend? A title company? We have examples of yard signs, all the hyperlinks to all the companies we do business with for various supplies that you'll need are right here. Our logos, everything that you'll need in that first couple of weeks. And we have our office roster with contact information. So if you want to know how to get a hold of somebody, it's all right there. Marketing. So marketing means different things to different people. I don't really think that you need to spend a ton of money in this business if you didn't want to up front. So that's why I try and provide as much as I can for free. So we provide a marketing planner you can take a look at. It'll, chart out every week, every month what you need to do in your business. I have a one-page resume for each agent, and this is your personal brochure. So think of this as your business card on steroids. It tells your customer what you're going to do for them if they're a buyer, if they're a seller, and so on. And then I have email campaigns that you can send out to people. So the uh, key to success for any agent is going to be your database, right? And you're going to meet people over time. You might have one person in your database today. A year from now, you'll have hundreds probably because you're going to meet people. And so you want to keep in contact with those folks in some form or fashion. And so I've created an email campaign where these are already logoed things for things like happy birthday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, things like that. So if you're ever at a total loss for what to send to people, you can always do that. Now, when you join the local real estate board, the state, the National Association of Realtors, they're going to have a ton of stuff for you as well to market your business. We also have social media content to post, and that is found here. This is our transaction management system. And this is where you would upload all of your contracts so that I can have a copy of them as a broker, because that's a requirement. And then I then send out the commission invoice to the title company so that you can get paid. But that's just one function. As a marketer, you can come here and you can kind of see all these articles that are posted every day, and they are for customers, they're not for us. And if you wanted to repurpose this out, you could click on this article and repost it to Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and so on. Okay. All right. So that's marketing. New licensees, this is where you're going to come to get your training, all right, and the manual. So what I've built out for a new realtor is pretty good. So the one thing I have is a section called how-to videos. So this goes back to things that other brokerages just kind of expect you to pick up on your own, right? But the last thing you want to do is be stuck not knowing something. I mean, none of us want to look like an idiot in front of our client. And so these are quick how-to videos on things like how to do a CMA, how to send out a contract to be electronically signed, how to open up a lockbox, how to set up an email of listings to go to a buyer, all those things that you would be stuck. I mean, you're going to have to call somebody to ask you. And so that is all right here in one spot. The other thing is that I have a tab for the buyer and seller process. And what this is supposed to do is, and you can kind of see I have buyer and seller presentations as well, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I have all this for you. Even though you may have gone out and bought, sold, or leased a piece of property on your own personally, now that you are a licensed realtor, you're going to be representing people, and questions and things are going to come up that you've never experienced before. So I think that the best teacher in this profession is going to be experience. However, kind of the chicken or the egg. How can I get experience if I don't have any closings? How can I get closings if I don't have any experience? Well, I've done a video series on the seller process, which would be a listing, and the buyer process. And it's broken out by the different phases of that process. And it takes you right from, in this case, the listing presentation, right through prepping the home to getting offers to the closing phase and beyond. And so I just think that as a new agent, you need something to bridge the gap between I just passed my test and oh my God, I have this client now. I need to be able to tell them what to do. And I have no closings yet. So how do I do that? Well, that's what this is for. Now, this is included in the training. So you're going to go here. But if you wanted to kind of shortcut this and if it wasn't making sense, you could always go to these videos and everything will start to click. Right now, mind you, 6 months from the day you start, this will all be second nature to you. But I never want you, let me put it this way. I never want you going to Google to find answers for your questions. That's my job. Okay. So in that same vein, another thing that kind of creates a little bit of anxiety amongst brand new agents is filling out the contracts, right? Can I get an amen on that? So I have a tab for that. And I have, not all of them, because there's hundreds of them, but I have all the ones that you're going to use most of the time already filled out for you, along with a video of me demonstrating how to fill it out. Okay. So if you ever got stuck, let's just download the 1 to 4. You can come here and get unstuck. So this is filled in correctly, all the blanks are filled in correctly, all the boxes are checked correctly. And I mean, let's face it, this is an 11-page document. It's got to be filled out right, or we get in trouble. And so I, as the broker, feel like I have to provide something so that we don't get into trouble, right? So that's what this is for. I hope I didn't. Oh, there we go. Okay. Um, and I have most of them here right now. The good news is that if you did not have your real estate license before the NAR settlement and all these new commission rules, then you're not going to know any different. However, you will have clients that hire you that did know the world of real estate before the NAR settlement and are going to start asking all sorts of questions about your commission. Well, I have role play videos down at the bottom here that walk you through, yeah, NAR settlement role play videos. It'll walk you through what to say to your clients if they bring this up. A lot of this is just trial and error. I mean, when you start anything new, you have to be comfortable being bad at it for the first couple of times, end of story. That's just how we grow. So this will all be second nature to you 6 months from the time that you start. But I wanted to make sure that you knew that there were resources here with regards to the contracts. Business building. So I mentioned before that in my years of real estate, I had to buy a lot of stuff to help me grow my business. Well, I took that and put that all right here on this business building tab. And you have access to things like, how do I get more builder business? And oh, by the way, I've created an email campaign for you to send out to builders. Uh, how to work with for sale by owners, how to do an open house correctly, how to work with expired listings, how to follow up with people, right? Which you're going to get today. I'm going to send you that document, right? How do you work by referral, right? So all that is here. So all these off-the-shelf systems you can use, um, that arguably no one needs to teach you. You can just download it. All right. Um, then, as an office, I do have a weekly meeting. It's every Thursday at 1. It is over Zoom, and I do record them. And I place them here on this tab in case you miss it. And I mean, gosh, by now I have several years worth of this stuff, but I'll just go to the most recent. And you can go back and look at what you missed. Now, I send the link out after the meeting's over, but I also put it here because a lot of people can't make it. So you can kind of get a sense of the different things that I've covered over the past several weeks and months. But I do not have a meeting just for the sake of having a meeting. All right. We will be there for the full hour, and you will leave smarter than when you signed on. That's my promise to you. Okay. Um, Man, I think well, let me just go through this. So I mentioned earlier that you can get coaching online. That's right here. All right. So here is that program. All right. So videos, homework. So you can kind of see what the topics are. It's great. I mean, the neat thing is with the group coaching is that I've done it 3 or 4 times. I have people do it over and over and over again because they need the refresher, they find it motivating, and and their participation level I find goes up each time they do it. So I think that's kind of neat. So that is pretty much it for your grand tour of White Rock Realty. So the last thing I'll review are the costs. Um, so it is very inexpensive and very easy to understand. There's 2 options. One is option 1, and I'm going to send this to y'all. It's $49 a month, 50 bucks once a year, and I usually charge that when you sign on. That goes to cover the E&O insurance. And then every commission that you close on is split 90-10, which means that you keep 90% of it and the brokerage gets 10%. Okay. This is a good option for someone that doesn't quite know what their sales level will be over the next 12 months and someone that wants a low risk, kind of low monthly investment. Okay. You can pay that all up front. You'll get a discount. But so let's compare that to other people. Some brokerages will charge you per transaction a transaction fee above and beyond all this, and they'll charge you a per transaction E&O fee. Well, I'm going to let you in a little secret. Insurance doesn't work that way. It's kind of like when you buy your auto insurance. Do you have to pay less if you don't have any accidents that year? No. Right? So I'll leave it up to you as to whether or not you want to call out a brokerage on the carpet about this, but I can tell you that um, they have to pay a policy every year, whether they have 10 agents or 110 agents, and that number's the same. So I just charge a one-time fee every year to help defray that cost, and that's it. All right, so there's no transaction fee, nothing like that. All right, the second option is uh, 209 a month, and you get to keep all your commission, with the exception of a 199 transaction fee. All right, same E&O cost, 50 bucks a year. But other than that, you keep everything. All right, so let's do a little math. I find that given the overall price point of a home that nets you a certain amount of commission, if you are closing on 3-ish to 4 homes a year, that's kind of the break-even point. All right, you're gonna spend the same amount in either plan. 4 or more, or if you're selling in the, $500,000 price range and up, you're better off doing option 2, right? Because what is it, 209 times 12 months is only 2,500 bucks a year, right? So even if you're going to a similar brokerage that charges you a transaction fee like Fathom, they're what, 500 bucks? The math is the same. And they charge you a fee to join. That's the other thing. There is no fee to join us. Okay, there's not a onboarding fee. There's no admin fee. That 90/10 starts when you start. Um, there's no extra cost. Now, the only thing that we charge extra for, and it's optional, is a website if you wanted it. Okay, and it's $15 a month, and it does interface with the local MLS. So what that means is your website would look a lot like this. All right. And customers could go to this little search bar and search for homes in any of the 3 states that we're in, by the way. And if you had your own website, you could buy a domain name from GoDaddy for like $10 a year and point it to this website if you wanted to. And every lead that would come in here would be your own. Because eventually, if someone searches it long enough, a box will pop up that says, "Hey, if you want more information about us, put your name in here and your contact information," and that lead goes to you. Now, I'll give you some heartbreaking news. The general public is going to Zillow, right? So don't feel like you have to do this. Now, some people just want this as part of their brand. They want to tell people that they have a website on the web, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you think that you're going to get, buku leads from your own website, that's not reality. People are going to Zillow and Realtor.com. So just FYI, I just don't want you to be disappointed. Now, the benefit here, though, is that similar. Now, listen, I can give you a free version of this under Meet Our Realtors. Let me just show you what somebody did. Let's see. Ben. You could do what this guy did, and you can put in a little bio of yourself, nice little picture, and here's the URL to that, and you could get a domain name from GoDaddy and point it to this, and this could be your website, and this is free, right? The downside is that they're still on our company website. So they could go and search for homes on our website and you would never know that they were here. But it would serve as checking the box for, oh yeah, I have my own website. Here it is. Okay. Um, the other benefit to having your own website is that it comes with its own CRM, which is customer relationship management system. And I'll just show you very briefly what this looks like because I know I'm over my hour and I haven't given you a chance to ask questions. So this is the portal you'd sign into, and this would be where you would access your CRM. Now, here's the deal. There's a joke in the real estate industry that says, okay, Mr. Broker, what CRM do you recommend I use? And the joke is it's whatever one you're going to actually use. I mean, even if it's an Excel spreadsheet, you've got to have some way to keep track of who you talked to and what you said and when you said it. Because you're going to go back to that database and you're going to market to them or you're going to communicate with them in some way. All right. So a lead comes across that website, it dumps into your CRM, and the CRM, so I picked this, by the way, because it was simple. A lot of these things are really expensive and they are really overcomplicated. And so I wanted this to do the basics, and that's what it does. So, and you can import stuff in here if you wanted to. It doesn't have to come from the website. If you met 5 people at an open house, you could put in those names here, and you could do drip campaigns. And it has drip campaigns for a buyer, a seller, repeat customer, investor, a renter, and it has all the copy for you. Right now, you could make your own, but you don't have to. All right. It also does email blasts. So when would you do this? Well, if you were hosting an open house and you wanted to alert everybody of your open house, or if you had a new listing and you wanted to let people know about that, you could do it this way. All right. So this is pretty much all you'd want a CRM to do. there are others out there. There are free versions, there are paid versions, and I have recommendations, by the way, on all that right here. All right, so there's a bunch of free ones, there's some paid ones, there's some ones that I really like. I like Realty Juggler, I like uh, Lion Desk, and there's another one on here I don't have. It's called Wise Agent. I like that one because it's not overcomplicated. Um, So that so for the CRM and for the website, it's $15 a month. It's optional. Everything that we went over today is already included in the fees. You're not going to join and I'm going to say, oh yeah, that training costs more. Or if you want this manual, that's $15. I'm not ever going to do that for you. So just FYI. All right. So that's enough of me yammering on. Let's open it up for questions. You're muted, so if you have any questions, you'll need to unmute. But go ahead and fire away if you got them.
Brad,
Yes.
I'm actually a seasoned agent. I'm in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm assuming you do not have any agents over here.
Not just yet, but I have some in El Paso, and I personally own property in Ruidoso. And I am a member of the Albuquerque and the Santa Fe board.
Okay.
And
Um,
and
so
I
it's
can
not a
join also.
problem becoming a member of Las Cruces Association board,
Not at
right?
all. I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
Yep. I'm actually talking to um an office over there now that's looking to retire, and so I might have a ton of agents there shortly, but um, be happy to join.
Awesome. Well, I am the MLS president this year, so that goes to show I've been around for a while.
Oh my goodness. Awesome. Awesome. Anybody else?
Right. I do have a couple of questions, but what I'm going to do is email you so that I don't bore everybody with my topic because remember, I'm wanting to go
Yes.
part-time.
Yep.
So very interested. I know I've met with you last year, and quite honestly, I just love your presentation and everything, although I'm in San Antonio. But yeah, I find you're very personable, and I like all the information that you have provided, and I'll be touching bases with you on several things. So I made notes,
Okay.
um, and then I'll just email you, see when we can get together. But great presentation. I'm really excited. I should have done this a year ago. I haven't done anything with anybody, and I just met Belinda and Robin. Hey, Robin,
Good.
and Robin, do you do any selling in El Paso or just New Mexico?
No, just New Mexico. I do not carry a dual license.
Great, great. Well, nice meeting you, ladies.
That's
Let's
great.
hope we all
Yeah.
see each other someday.
Send your email over with your questions. I'll be glad to answer them.
Perfect. I'll be doing that within the next couple of days so I can meet with you is what I would like to do.
Okay.
Well, or I'll send you my questions and then maybe we can meet.
Okay. That's fair.
I'd like to see if you have, how many agents do you have here in San Antonio?
In San Antonio, I have about 16 or 17.
Perfect.
So I have across the three states, I have about 165 folks. I just started my presence in Oklahoma and New Mexico. So because of the time I've been in this, most of my folks are in Texas, um, but I'm looking to grow all over.
And you did say you had agents in El Paso too, right?
I do. Yeah, not as many. I only have three or four there, but
Okay, great, great. Because some opportunities have presented themselves and I've referred to other agents, but as a friend, because I'm not under a broker right now.
got it. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you
Good.
so much. I will be in touch, most definitely.
Sounds great. All right. Well, so next steps, again, I will email everybody the fee sheet, the two books, and that will be obviously from an email from me. My cell phone's in there. If you are ready to join us, I would love to have you. We can have that conversation, or if you want to have a more personalized Zoom appointment, there's going to be a link in my email that allows you to set up a one-on-one to do that. And we can maybe answer more specific questions if you think of something as, when we drop off. Um, but yeah, well, hey, I appreciate y'all hopping on and taking time out of your Tuesday night. And again, if you have any questions that you think of after I drop off, just fire away. I'm always available. But you guys enjoy the rest of your night and have a good rest of the week and enjoy this wonderful weather we're having.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, y'all.
Thank you for your time.
You bet. Bye-bye.